Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we're in the weird days of the year. We're in the last days of the year. The time between Christmas and New Year's, when you're all full of cheese and wine and cured meats and whatever the hell else you're eating and just have no idea what the hell's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we're actually recording this on the Monday we're posting it, but I legit have no idea what day of the week it is. I'm pretty sure if I didn't have a pill bottle, I wouldn't have any ideas at all.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yes, indeed. But we are happy to be joining you this week. We're doing an episode on 5 questions for 2022, examining what I think are going to be the haunt things to keep an eye on in the new year. So that should be interesting. But first things first, if you have not done so, please take a minute. Check us out at hauntweekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/Haunt Weekly is the YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe there. It really helps. Not all of y'all get it from there, I understand, but hey, it's there for convenience. And if you ever need to refer back to an episode, it's probably the best way to do it, because I know that iTunes and all the podcast players tend to remove episodes. So all of them are there. You can also check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitch, wherever you get your podcasts from. And hopefully, sometime shortly in the new year, we'll be re-kicking off the live broadcast again. If we start those, it'll be Sundays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Follow us at hauntweekly.com/Facebook. That's where the live things are, but also for announcements about plans.
Yes.
So, anyways, last week's episode was a news episode, so we ended up making it kind of a short one. We ended a few minutes early. Not a big deal. But we did have a great question of the week. It had nothing to do with haunting, but I was very curious to see what people said.
Yeah.
And the question was, what is your favorite holiday food? And we got a lot of what I would expect. Several of you seem to think that sugar, literally just sugar, is the holiday food of choice.
Yeah.
Got a serious sweet tooth then. You might want to get that checked out.
I'm sure it's sugar in all forms,
yeah,
but
I know,
yes.
But still. So yeah, but we also had some interesting ones. We had Hungarian kiffies. Was Roberta McClellan saying that one. That was interesting. I had not even heard those. I had to look up what they were.
Yeah, I don't think that we had any whenever we were
in Hungary. No.
Hungary.
No.
So interesting.
Deviled eggs and Moravian cookies with Sam Farrell's. Now, deviled eggs, I am very intimately familiar with.
Yeah, those are in all the time if we can get them.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, deviled eggs are like one of the most consistent foods everywhere I visited and lived in terms of it existing. Well, one of the most different in terms of how it's made.
Yeah.
You know, like, when I was in South Carolina, when I lived there, the deviled eggs were just done with a little bit of pepper, and you shot them into your mouth. In Louisiana, it's all about the Tony Chachere's.
Yeah.
You drown that shit in Tony Chachere's.
At least a sprinkle on top.
And also, Greg Reinhardt, with a laughing emoji, of course, says venison stew. And I'm putting that in here because I have had venison stew, and it is awesome. I don't know why. There's a laughing emoji. I mean, okay, I know Santa's reindeer.
Yeah, exactly.
I know where he's going with it. But seriously, venison stew is awesome. I would be very happy to have that as a holiday food. And then bonus points if you put like a red clown nose in it. Whoops.
Just tomatoes.
Yeah, just a big red tomato. Whoops, forgot to take out the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously. So a lot of interesting suggestions as far as what is the holiday food du jour. I don't know. I really enjoyed the conversation that surrounded this one, seeing what everybody eats around the holidays. It was fascinating. And it's nice to see that there are a good variety of traditions.
Yes.
So moving on to this week's question of the week. What is your biggest unknown heading into 2022? What is it that you are wondering about with your haunt as you head into this new year?
Yeah.
What question would you ask? Would it be one of these 5 that we're going to do? Would it be a different one? I'm very curious because I'm always a little surprised at what haunt owners, haunt actors, and other participants are thinking with these issues. So yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see what people say here. So yes, take a moment, let us know. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook. All great ways to communicate with us. You can also leave a comment on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/HauntWeekly. We read them all, and we will include the ones we find the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's the deal. Like I said, we're recording this right at the end of the year.
Well, what's your biggest unknown? We didn't answer it.
Well, no, it's in the here.
Okay.
I actually put it in the episode.
Okay.
And it's actually the first one. So it's actually question number 1. And I'm pretty sure we're both going to agree on that. So,
yeah.
So we're going to answer it throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, usually we just do it separate.
Well, yeah, and we do something separate. I'll say this, though. Okay, the biggest unknown not in the list, then. We'll add a challenge layer to it.
Oh, okay.
And we both read the show notes. I wrote, but you read very thoroughly. So I think the biggest unknown not on the list for me is what is the quote-unquote labor shortage going to do to haunts in 2022. I didn't put that in. I kind of brushed by it a little bit, but I didn't actually put it in there. And there's no labor shortage, let's be 100% clear. That's all horse-pucky.
Yeah.
People are working. People are employed. They're just not working for certain jobs.
Yeah.
The jobs that pay crap.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's the thing. But haunts typically pay minimum wage. They're one of the few places that do, and rely on rely upon the fact that people enjoy haunting to be the recruitment. They want it to be a place that people want to come to work, rather than come here to earn a check. The check is purely, a bonus thing.
Yeah.
This should not, and I don't think even the haunts that pay, quote unquote, well, can offer the hours and offer the pay needed to make a living during haunt season. And plus, if it's only a 6-week gig max, 6 to 8 weeks, it's not like, what are you going to do after it ends? So no one hopefully is looking at haunting as their main income. Maybe earning a little bit of Christmas dosh, for like a little Christmas bonus, but yeah.
We're having fun. Maybe it's first job kind of situation. Just old enough, so. Yeah,
so I'm going to be curious to see how, if the labor shortage, as it's being called, like I said, I hate that terminology, but it's just what everyone understands. If that's continuing into 2022, how that will impact haunts. What's yours?
I think mine's going to be how this new job is going to impact haunt season for us.
Okay, yeah. That is true. You started a brand new job in September of last year, and we were not open in 2021.
Right.
We're probably shooting to open in 2022
if
these 5 questions line up.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it, because I learned this year that it actually is a fairly busy time for us in October, which I had asked about in the interview, but hopefully we'll have a better handle on it for this next year.
Well, and I think honestly, it was kind of serendipity that we were already closed in 2022 when he took the job.
Yeah.
We'd pretty much already made the decision, because the first year at a job like this is always the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you're having to learn as you go. You're having to make systems. You're having to kind of build things from the ground up while you're learning. It's basically like getting a giant Lego set, not knowing what Lego are, and not really having an instruction booklet, but it being expected to build a castle or something out of it.
Yeah.
And by the end of the first year, you hopefully have that better handle on it. You know how the pieces go together. You got a system going. And at the very least, it shouldn't be as bad. So if we're going to be closed with relation to your job, last year was the perfect year to be closed, because October was nuts for you. And a lot of it was because it's a brand new job.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of things that were on the table to be completed in October that weren't started.
Yeah.
Part of that's Ida's fault. Part of it's, the transition being so weird, but and a lot of new people around this position too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who were working on reports and things just didn't know that they were due. So
the hope
it was not a timeline.
The hope is this year.
Yeah.
You're able to set up a timeline and sort of structure your deadlines and dates around Halloween work and Halloween-related activity.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a good question.
Because I'm hoping that we're able to take our big Halloween trip.
I guess and
I'm not sure where it'll be to, but...
Well, I know we have one trip in October already.
Mm-hmm. That's
wedding.
True.
But
so we may not be
I don't know
that this year.
We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. I guess related to just our haunt, though, my biggest question will be, will the audience remember us?
Yeah.
We've been gone 3 years, and it's not been by choice. Will we be remembered? I have a plan in place to start promoting it fairly early on. Hopefully getting some traction back. But yeah, we have over 10 years of history in this place, and then we had to be closed for 3. And yeah, are they going to remember us? What is it going to be like? I don't know. So yeah, good questions.
Yeah.
All right. But anyways, 2022 is almost upon us, and that really kind of gives us 2 options. You can either look ahead or look back, and looking back really sucks.
Yeah.
Because we were closed. We didn't do any haunt visits, and
lots of people were struggling.
And one thing, and I'll get into it more later, I'm sure, because I don't think I'll be able to help myself. It was also very disheartening to see how callously many members of our haunt industry, took COVID, especially in 2020 but also 2021, and the recklessness and with which they opened and the danger they created, especially in the early days of this pandemic when we didn't have vaccines, we didn't have any realistic treatments for severe cases. We're just now getting pills and things that are cleared for treating COVID after the fact now.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just now getting approved. The vaccines rolled out in March last year. By October, we were vaxxed and fully ready to go. But even we didn't feel comfortable opening. And then, like I said, many members of the community, I have a feeling you know who you are if you're hearing this, really disappointed us. And so I don't want to look back. I want to look ahead. 2022 for many haunt, this will be either their return to full scale, one or the other. There are a lot of interesting items and pieces of technology out there, and there's a lot of new concepts that were picked up during the past couple of years that may be ready to break out and come out in a non-COVID world. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sit down, we're going to ask ourselves, and then try to answer 5 big questions for the haunt industry in 2022.
Sounds good.
All right. So we got a lot to get through here. And the first one is the obvious one. Just get it out of the way. How will COVID impact 2022, haunt season 2022? And we have to ask this because this pandemic has defied prediction.
Yeah. It's still going. There's not much argument here. I mean, it's still going. Our numbers, I'm getting alerts daily again about numbers increasing.
In Louisiana in particular.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's like it is defied prediction. When we started this in the late winter in the early part of 2020, it was like, oh yeah, we'll just flatten the curve, it'll pass, and we'll be fine. And then, especially in the United States, but also in other countries too, there was a very disjointed response, both from government and the citizenry.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not do their part. And as a result, what was supposed to be a couple of weeks of lockdown, what was supposed to be a couple of weeks of shutdown, turned into many months. And the world started to open back up a little bit in the summer of that year, but we saw another spike coming right as fall was kicking, right as haunt season was actually happening. And then we've just been riding this weird wave where we have outbreaks and dead periods in it over and over and over again. And now with the Omicron variant, it's widespread here. Our hospitals in New Orleans are literally filling up. I'd heard yesterday from a reliable source that Tulane ER, one of the biggest hospitals in the city, is full. Hospitalizations have doubled locally, but here's the thing: it's largely not locals.
Right.
Which is because we have a 90% rate of vaccination of people who've received at least one dose. Who are eligible and have received one dose. It's 90%. A lot of that is because of a vaccine mandate in the city.
Right, and they've extended it to kids, like young. Is it 6 now? They can get it 6 and up.
Yeah, I think it's 5 and up. It might be 5 and up.
Yeah,
very young kids can get it, and so we're seeing a great. We're not seeing it so much among our locals, but we are getting people from other parishes that maybe don't have the hospital resources. They're coming to New Orleans,
right.
And they're filling up our ERs and our ICUs and creating those problems. And that's one of the big deals. We just got an alert a little bit ago that there was a major increase across the state of Louisiana in the number of cases, thanks to Omicron. Omicron is surging. Everyone I know, including my family and my friends, are as vaccinated, as boosted as they can get. They're as far along in that process as they can be.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had a couple of scares. You and Ellie were not feeling well one day and went and got tested. And
because you'd gotten an email that morning that said there was an outbreak on your campus. It was all breakthrough cases. Your campus has a strict vaccination requirement.
Yes.
So they're all breakthrough cases. They're all mild. But still, a minor outbreak had happened. So Ellie and I went because we had plans.
Yeah.
We had a holiday party we were supposed to go to that Wednesday. We had a friend we were taking help do some things and spending some time in a car with her, and we're not going to do that shit if we got COVID. So we went and we got a PCR test, one where they shove it real deep in your nose.
Yeah, when PCR is the way to go.
Oh yeah, it's the only test you can really trust, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now I have heard that a positive rapid test is reliable, but negative it's not.
Then what's the fecking point?
I don't know.
Yeah, they came to us in the ER, not ER, the urgent care, and said, okay, we can either give you a rapid test that's got about a 50% accuracy, or we can give you a PCR, which is about 95% accurate. It's like, there's only 2 outcomes of the test.
Yeah.
I can flip a coin and be 50% accurate.
Exactly.
I don't really understand what good a 50% accurate does. No. Regardless, we came out negative. We've been fine. We managed to avoid it. Knock on wooden objects galore here. So yeah, we've been very lucky and been able to avoid it. But man, that night, like I said, vax boosted, doing all we can, and being smart, masking indoors, masking when we can. But still, it's rough. And I've heard from 2 sources now, 2 experts in this, that said New Orleans is probably the safest place to be.
Yeah.
Because of our high vaccination rate, and that's because of our because we have a vaccination requirement that says if you're going to eat at a restaurant or drink inside a bar, you have to either be vaccinated or have a PCR test. Once again, the jabby and the nosy test within 3 days. And since I'm going to say this, I am not fucking getting a PCR test twice a week just so I can go drinking at J&K.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'll do it if there's a scare. I'll do it again. I ain't got a problem doing it again. But just to go eating or drinking, fuck that. Yeah. I'll take a shot.
Well, and I think that's what everybody has determined, is that we want to be outside again. We want to go out of the house, do things.
And this is the approach to do it. This is how you make it happen.
You have to have your vaccination proof or the PCR test to, do anything outside of your house.
And that PCR test, like I said, it's not as bad as I'm making it out. Not now that I know which side of my deviated septum's the good side. Makes a big fucking difference. Lady at the fucking hospital, I had a minor procedure done in the hospital, had to get a PCR test before going in, and she just insisted on trying to shove it up my right nostril, even though apparently that side does not work.
Yeah.
So, no, bad. But anyways, we're still a little bit worried, though, because we have Mardi Gras coming up. Festivities for that begin January 6th, your birthday.
Yes.
And it goes all the way through, I think, March.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that. And they're condensing the parade route. It's a winter event. Yeah, so I'm a little nervous about that. And we're going to have a lot of people not from the city. And one of the things about Mardi Gras, and one of the things a lot about tourism in New Orleans in general, people don't get is, yeah, people fly from all over the world. We got a brand spanking new airport to check out. We got a great new airport. Got a lot of shit. People fly in. But nearly all of the tourism we get, if you look at head count, are day trippers and people driving here, which means they're coming from elsewhere in Louisiana, coming from eastern Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, especially the Panhandle, maybe some from Georgia. But you're getting like that sphere, and that sphere does not look as good as New Orleans does for vaccination.
No.
And I really am curious how this vaccination requirement and Mardi Gras are going to coexist.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they will. I'm not sure Mardi Gras is still happening.
Yeah, I'm a little antsy on that too. But it's still planned. It's still on, according to every source I've heard, as of noon on Monday the 27th. Check your local listings for further information. So yeah, what will COVID do in 2022? And more important, how will we respond? Will there be lockdowns? Will there be hard lockdowns or soft lockdowns? One of the frustrations has been more recently has been there's been a push to get people back in offices, but trying to restrict them from going to restaurants and bars. That will never fucking work.
Nope.
You can just fuck that right now. What about crowd control requirements? Are you not going to be able to have 8 billion people in your queue line? You're going to have to social distance. And what about vaccine requirements for your haunt? For your act, and that could include both just for your staff. If you have enough employees, you may be impacted by even a federal mandate, or a local one. So what about that? And in New Orleans, like we said, there is a vaccine requirement for eating in restaurants, going to sporting events, bars, most things public. Now, to my understanding, haunted houses, well, only one actually in Orleans Parish, as we'll get into in a second, followed it because it didn't technically apply to them. But here's the thing, haunters. The law's never going to be written for us. You just have to give that up. You have to give up on this. Well, it didn't mention us by name, so derp, 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 derp. No, we can do what we want. Yeah, because here's a fascinating fact. Did you take a guess how many restaurants there are in New Orleans as of last figures I could compile? I couldn't even find a count on bars. I found a count on restaurants though.
Okay, so less than bars, judging by that.
That's actually probably a very safe bet, actually. But no, I couldn't even find a count on bars. But I found a good count from the Advocate on restaurants. 1,216 restaurants in this city.
That sounds about right.
And that's a lot of fucking. But remember, this is only Orleans Parish, so it's only Orleans Parish itself only has a population of around 400K. It's most people who live quote unquote in New Orleans, and I include New Orleans Nightmare in this, do not live in New Orleans. They live in the neighboring parish. I think JP is like 1.2 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So most of the people live in neighboring parishes, including, like I said, New Orleans Nightmare, which actually is not in New Orleans, and this drives me crazier than it should.
It does.
Well, I mean, I used to work, way back when I was in South Carolina, I worked for a paper called the New Irmo News. That was not in the town of Irmo. Their offices were in West Columbia. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. You had one job. Anyways, there's 1,200 restaurants and only one haunted attraction inside the city limits.
Right.
So, yeah, who do you think is going to get the law written for them?
Yeah, the restaurants.
The restaurants and bars.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of them, and they're also the ones that see the enforcement. We have to interpret the intent of the law, and I don't think haunts have done super well on that. So, but yeah, a lot of this is going to hinge on the next 6 months. What happened to this Omicron? I mean, it seems like it's a good news, bad news situation, what we're hearing so far. Once again, please check out CDC and official stuff. Don't listen to assholes with a microphone in an office. As we are not health experts in any way, shape, or form. No. But the impression we've gotten from the doctors we've been hearing from, and of course we've been seeing, is that it may be less dangerous, but it's so much more contagious that it kind of makes up for the danger it does in terms of killing people by just being much more contagious and much more easy to catch. So, because if it's 50% less likely to put you in the hospital, that's yay. But if you're 2 times more likely to catch it, that just made your odds exactly the same.
Yeah.
You just brought everything back up to exactly where you were before. You know what I mean? So that seems to be the issue. So yeah, and it's going to depend on what happens in the next 6 months. And I think predicting it is going to be a fool's errand. I've really given up even trying to myself predict what's going on. We'll do what we've done the past 2 years is we will look at the numbers, we will look at the statistics, we will see what the legal requirements are. We'll be following them from probably August into September and then make our decision when we have to. But yeah, so we've got 8 months before we really need to make a decision, luckily. That gives us a lot of time to watch and see. But my God, this is going to be...
Pro haunts don't have that luxury.
No, they do not. They have to make their decisions much sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't envy that.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
Yeah. So anyways, the second question.
Yes, the second one.
We're only on number 2 now. Good job, team. Go ahead.
So what elements of the COVID era will become more permanent? So what changed in your haunt to...
or the haunted attraction industry just broadly.
Exactly. That, is going to stick around. And some of these changes were good changes.
Good, smart changes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Like, why hadn't we been doing this before?
Yeah. Like number 1 to me, all the steps haunts took to prevent the spread of disease between actors.
Yeah.
The wrapping of the costumes, one costume per actor, the spacing out of makeup booths, all that stuff. Oh my God. Every year, every haunt that has more than 3 people and a goat working for it, bitch about the haunt crud.
Exactly.
Seriously, question for haunters. If you were open in 2021, 2022, and your haunt took these types of precautions, was there a haunt crud outbreak?
Yeah.
Was there? I'm genuinely curious. I would like to know. But because flu season 2021 and 2022 did not happen.
Exactly.
Have largely not happened. And it's been because of all these steps we've taken to prevent the transmission of COVID, also prevents the transmission of other diseases. Jesus Christ, why were we not doing this for actors to begin with? Mm-hmm. This just seems so obvious in hindsight, doesn't it?
It does.
So, my God. And moving on.
Things that we'd like to see.
Well, this first one. Yeah. Next one's time ticketing. Yeah. Time ticketing.
Time ticketing.
Yeah, I would really like to see that stick around. Here's the thing. I said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. My biggest fucking pain point with haunted attractions is always having to wait in long queue lines to go through a 10 to 20 minute haunt.
Yeah.
I don't like waiting in a 90-minute queue line for a 10-minute haunt. I'm sorry. That's horseshit.
Right.
Look, but we got solutions, and we're going to do more on this in just a minute, actually, so I don't want to go too far into it. Next item.
More outdoor events.
Oh,
or
man.
At least outdoor elements.
Yeah, I don't understand how we live in one of the few parts of the country. How is it the Northeast? The fucking cold-ass, snowy motherfucking Northeast has 8,000 fucking hay rides and trail haunts and all that shit. And here in Louisiana, where we typically have very temperate and good weather in September, October, have next to none.
September, October, I mean, it's December 27th and it's 77 outside.
Yeah, our AC's been blasting pretty hardcore these past few days. But no, it's crazy. Why don't we have more? I think the idea of including more outdoor activities or more outdoor attractions is good. And like I said, I'm noticing that Rise has been doing it. Mm-hmm. Rise is actually pushing in this direction.
Right.
I think that's good for a lot of reasons, not just for variety. Because that means that every attraction they have, whether you like it or not, is unique.
Yeah.
Is unique. Like, I can tell you the difference between the Big House, the Asylum, the hayride they have, no, I forgot the fucking name for it, and the corn maze they're putting in.
Yeah.
I can tell you what the difference of all those are. And I haven't even been on the corn maze yet. It ain't built yet, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not. We haven't been in a couple of years.
That was the plan recently. But there's an obvious difference between each one. More outdoor attractions. Just a great idea. Mm-hmm. Next up, more variety in lines of business. We have seen haunts in the past few years really try to expand, especially the haunts that were doing right and limiting customers. Mm-hmm. they realized, oh crap, we've got to make more money off each customer in order to break even. So they're adding carnival games, they're adding better gift shops, they're adding VR attractions, they're adding, they're adding these things that they can bring in relatively inexpensively and get a few extra bucks from. And I think that's something that needs to stick around. We needed to be pursuing that at all times, not just when customer count was lowered.
Mm-hmm. Right. More new attraction types. I mean, now there are drive-through haunts.
Which I still kind of cringe and think are dangerous, but no one got run over.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm the asshole here.
Yeah, maybe we just don't understand it because we haven't been to one.
Yeah.
So there's not one in our area.
Now, I do like the idea of the car wash haunts, where you have the car on the rail and everything's controlled.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking in Japan about the scambulances.
Screambulances.
Screambulances, sorry. Yeah, screambulances.
Yeah, which are now, you can call them up to come to your house, which is kind of awesome.
Make me shit my pants delivery service.
Exactly.
It's like Uber Eats for fright.
I love that for like block parties and stuff.
Dude, fuck renting a bouncy castle.
Yeah.
Rent a screambulance, come on.
Yeah. No, I love this idea. And there are more virtual experiences.
Yeah, well, we've seen haunts offering things for people to do at home.
Yeah. Which is really nice. We've done some of them.
Yeah, they're really cool stuff. So yeah, what's going to stick in 2022? What's going to fade? Please let the disease prevention stuff between actors stick. That just seems so obvious now.
It does.
It's like, dang, why is everyone getting so sick every year right around mid-season?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. Well, let's crowd everyone in and make up chairs 2 feet apart. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world now, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and, I hope that it is put out there that you don't have to have a perfect attendance record in order to get, prizes, because if you're sick, you should not go to work.
Oh, man.
Because you want that perfect attendance.
Yeah, I get why haunts do perfect attendance
I do
badges.
too.
I understand that completely.
I understand completely.
But it is definitely a perverse incentive.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next item. What new technologies will we see in 2022? One of the things I was thinking about as I was doing these notes and also previously was we've seen a lot of technical innovation in the haunted attraction industry, but most of it has not been customer facing.
Right.
The vast majority of it is not. There has been some, don't get it wrong, but like all of the Raspberry Pi stuff has been used to set off props. Mm-hmm. And that's basically trying to ensure that every human body you have in the haunt is in front of the customer, not behind the scenes running shit.
Right.
And that's great. And also doing things like automating audio and lighting cues. Basically just trying to make it so that people are put into scare roles or security roles rather than running shit where nobody's seeing them. Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. But hey, we got more we can do. I mean, the things that we had seen, like coming to haunts, were projections, Pepper's Ghost style illusions, people trying to emulate Disney some by bringing in all of these 3D and attraction things. And they were very cool, but they're also just kind of done. We've seen them everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so something that came up recently was the VR bus station that Pepsi did. And it was, you've probably seen the videos, but it's been getting some great reactions. I would love to see some more VR put into haunts somehow, even if it's while you're waiting in line, Yeah.
VR experiences can be great. And the thing about this, we've already seen, like, the big tech invention. In fact, this one Best in Show at Transworld last year was Go Ghost Hunting by Zombie Army Productions. And we've talked about actually putting this in our haunt.
Yeah.
Because basically what it is, it allows people to play an AR, alternate reality game on their phones.
Right.
Where they catch ghosts, and they also have to sign up for your haunt, and you get to capture some additional information. But it makes queue line time more bearable, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm still trying to find out how to actually get that. So if anybody has a connection.
Oh, I think I found a page. It's $2,000 for a setup. Okay. Which is actually affordable. So yeah, Interactive flashlight nights have been another big thing I've been seeing more of, where you carry special flashlights and can interact with things in the haunt. This gives you a greater degree of interactivity in the haunt. And we're seeing virtual events once again being held everywhere. The Oculus, the new Oculus, which I'm probably going to pick up now, it's only $300 for a VR headset. And I know I say only, that's still a lot of money to a lot of people I know. But compared to other VR headsets, it is fucking cheap, especially since it doesn't require a computer, because it used to be you could get the headset for, whatever, but you had to have a super powered computer that could really, push the VR. And so, yeah, it wasn't practical, but this one is. And so we could be, I think this year in 2022 would be a good year if you're looking at doing events or things for people at home. You might have enough VR penetration through the Oculus to actually consider it, especially if you live in a fairly well-off area or a dense population center. Yeah.
Yeah. I really think that would be a cool way to experience a haunt.
Yeah. So this brings us to question 4.
How can we improve the customer experience?
I think the 2020 and 2021 season exposed a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And I say that we didn't go to haunts in those years, but we sure as fuck read about them.
Reported on them.
Yep. The haunts that were open and were not doing control ticketing saw huge crowds, especially in 2020.
Yeah.
And that led to huge wait times. They often had reduced staff, both because of pandemic and because of quote-unquote labor shortage. And this led to a sharp rise in customer complaints.
Well, and it's not just reduced staff, but it was also increased amount of customers. So we didn't know to grow the staff to account for the amount of customers that were going to show up. So it's twofold.
Well, 2020 was such an unpredictable year.
It was.
That I think most haunts expected almost no one to show up. And so then when they found themselves inundated, like several haunts we reported on did, they were just not in a position to handle it. And honestly, we said early on in 2020, and go back to our podcast right before this, we were telling everyone, if you're going to open this year, you need to have timed and coordinated ticketing.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a crowd. You can't do that. Don't just say no one's going to show up. We'll open up for the 10 people who are here. That way when 10,000 people show up, you're...
Yeah, that's one person for every 1,000.
That's irresponsible as fuck.
Yeah.
So, what we can do is we can eliminate pain points. We actually had a whole episode about pain points and reduce them as 197, I believe it was. The biggest for me, and I know for most customers, is the queue. I don't know why we still have queue lines. I mean, I know why we have one. We don't really have much choice. But there are a lot of haunts out there with a lot of land and a lot of potential that have queue lines that don't need them.
Right.
I mean, because here's the thing. Every customer that's standing around in a queue line is A, not having fun, and B, at least they're not having consistent fun. They might be getting interacting with the scare actor, but they're not having fun. They're not having inside the haunt fun. They're not having fun, and they're not making you more money. So they're useless customers. That's what Disney realized. And one of the reasons they moved to a time ticketing system now it's a thing you have to pay a little extra for called Genie Plus, but it's like $15 a day and it's probably well worth it. You can just book all your rides when you wake up and just rock up in the time.
Yeah.
I mean, $15 a day, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, to not have to stand in line, yes.
Or to stand only in like a 2-minute line as you wait with other people in your time period. Yeah. I'll fucking do that. Because fuck those Disney queues.
Yeah. Well, fuck queues in general.
Yeah, fuck queues in general, but especially fuck Disney queues, trust me. I mean, they're quite pretty, but they're very long and boring because they don't have scare actors. But we've seen like time ticketing work reasonably well. And we've also seen structures like what they did at Camp Blood, which is, okay, because Camp Blood had a problem where they really can't do time ticketing. They're a fully outdoor attraction and they have a lot of last minute cancellations.
Yeah.
So what they do is they give everyone a letter when you get in, and I don't know how high this alphabet goes, and you walk in and you're in this like giant fair area where you got games and shops, and you're roaming around, and it'll come out their loud, Group A to the queue, Group A, and then you go and you stand in line for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes in an actual cattle gate, and then you go in.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to roam around and then, just be called when it's time to go.
And it's good for disease prevention, too. Everyone's outside.
Yeah. You're staying with your group as you go around all the things.
It's a very big area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And there's also, we've also seen where they would get phone numbers and text you whenever your time was ready.
Yeah, that was another haunt in Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta haunts were really pretty innovative about this on the whole. Mm-hmm. Ironically, Netherworld was the one that I remember having the dumbest queue.
Yeah.
Because that was literally just fucking spider. And then, I don't know, they moved to a new location. They might have something else. But they had that huge carnival area, which was kick-ass.
Yeah.
But you couldn't, peruse it while in the queue.
No.
Just like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, parking obviously is an old pain point. Yes. You need to figure that out. Goodness. But yeah, online ticketing, I think this will be the breakout year for online ticketing in many ways, because now, especially with the pandemic, people have gotten used to online, especially mobile ticket ordering for everything. Mm-hmm. And this is a genie that ain't going back in the bottle.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I mean, this is just something that's going to have to. Yeah, we need to revisit online ticketing, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I just put it in the notes for
a future one. Yeah, we need to come back at it because we've done several things on it.
Yeah.
But so much has changed in this sphere in the past 2 years. I definitely think it needs to revisit. I agree completely.
Yeah, and there are more options.
So many more options. Yeah, we need to get online ticketing. It's due again. I agree completely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I'm like I said, mobile is going to be the key to it. And by mobile ordering, I mean I can find the ticket, buy the ticket mobily using my Apple Pay or Android Pay or whatever, and then the QR code is on my phone.
Not only that, but then the haunt has your number so that if they do this, no queue line, they can just text you saying, "Hey, come up to the front."
I'm at the front. You bring your party to the front. We're ready to rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do think this is way waiting should be, because customers in a queue aren't getting happier. And they are not making you any money. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you got more people than you can have. I get that. That's life. Have something for them to do that both they enjoy and can make you money. And watch as, you turn this pissed off, I've been in a line for 90 minutes to go through a 10-minute haunt customer, into, hey, I just spent almost 2 hours at a fair with a haunted house. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference between those two statements.
There is.
And number 5, last question.
What will the 2022 season be like for haunts financially?
Well, boy, that is always the big question, but this one's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and haunts that were open in 2020 and 2021 reported...
And we're not curtailing their... which they should have been, but that's a later conversation.
Well, so even ones that were open with time ticketing sold out.
Yeah.
Like, it was record years for lots of places. And I think that the time ticking actually helped with those numbers.
Well, and if you're... Because it might not even be a COVID thing at that point. Mm-mm. It's just hey, I know I'm due at this haunt at 9:30.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up, I'm going to go to a haunted house, and then go get an elephant ear or whatever after,
Well, yeah, because you've paid for it, you know what time you're supposed to be there, you're more likely to make it.
And it's a comfort thing, too, because even without COVID, people don't like standing in long cattle gates. Mm-hmm. And you see the lines at some haunts that are absolutely just crushing. And all I can think to myself is, how is this an enjoyable experience for people? Mm-hmm. And the answer is, it's not. Mm-mm. And so by eliminating that negative experience, I think more people were willing to take a chance on going to a haunt, even separate from COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2022 is going to be different. If we assume a return to a normalish season, there will be less pent-up demand, and there'll be more haunts open, so there'll be more places for them to go to. And there will be more competing activities. A lot of the things people would have done instead of going to a haunted house were closed in previous years. The fairs, the carnivals, the various, especially if they were run by cities.
Yeah, so I do think that the demand to go out and do things is going to be high still.
Okay.
So but I think that there are going to be more options, and there have been some pop-up options that have come up, like the drive-through trick-or-treating at City Park here locally.
Yeah.
That didn't exist before COVID.
That is true. That's a good point. Very good
So
point.
I think that, some people who have found a way to survive through COVID and innovated for it are going to be a competitor too.
Well, and one thing I'm going to be very curious about, a lot of haunts who did open in 2021, 2022 admitted they did not have a good show.
Yeah.
That they had a rough show. So let's pretend I'm a haunt customer.
Yeah, I've heard that locally.
I've heard that locally, and I've heard that internationally too. It's been a big thing, saying, yeah, we did not, because we had too few actors, trying to enforce social separation. We weren't able to give the show we wanted, and I get that, and I completely understand that. But here's the thing: look at it from the perspective of a haunt customer. I go to a haunt, I pay my money, I wait in the line because, like I said, crushing numbers at a lot of places.
Yeah.
And then I get this really subpar experience. Am I coming back next year?
Nope.
Am I coming back in 2022 when normal returns? Are you going to be able to convince me in your marketing? Yeah, we only sucked because it was 2020.
No, you're not.
I don't think that's... because here's the thing. It takes a lot of good experiences with a customer to make them a regular customer. It only takes one bad experience to lose them forever.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of haunts have not figured out. That said, though, there are some positives. Retail vacancies are rising in most areas. It's not everywhere, but in most areas. That may help lower rental and lease costs, especially if you are looking to rent in an old abandoned retail space.
Yeah.
It may well work. Lumber prices are expected to fall in 2022. They've already been falling some. They're expected to fall more. That's due to predictions of a endangered housing economy, which I thought was interesting. It was from Forbes magazine.
The housing market did hit back whenever prices increased on lumber last year.
Yeah, and the thing is, people expected the housing market to really tank with COVID, but it held steady through most of the disaster. And like I said, it was more impacted by the lumber prices than it was other economic factors. But Forbes, at the very least, the author at Forbes is predicting that things will not be so rosy in 2022. So lumber prices will fall even further. And digital ads are keeping ad budgets in check. This was something I was researching earlier today. One of the things that's kind of been a saving grace for haunts on the advertising side has been digital marketing. And the reason is because, say, you've got a $10,000 ad budget, where in ye olden times, you would probably yeet all that into radio or TV spots.
Right. Now,
you can do some TV and radio spots, but you might split up 3K into social media, 3K into search ads, and whatever's left, you do traditional media. And what that's doing is it's keeping advertising prices lower by increasing the number of options people have. So when you look at the cost per 1,000 people, the CPM, ad prices seem to be holding flat. And one of the things I find interesting is that's because advertisers have so many good choices now for reaching people. And they can choose the path that's best for them, and there's more competition for advertisers than there is for eyeballs.
Yeah.
So that seems to be working out pretty well on the ad side of things. And
haunts have redesigned so that they can run with fewer actors.
Yeah, actor labor costs should not be as high as they've been in previous years, because we have seen haunts completely redesigned for COVID. And one of the design choices was always to make sure that a single actor can run multiple things.
Yeah.
And that's something we've always been big on in our design, and it was kind of neat to see the professional haunts adopted.
Yeah.
And then to hear about we had to rearrange the scene so that instead of 3 people doing the scares, the one actor in a center area can handle it all. And that way, you just have to pay one actor. So the redesigned haunts can typically work with fewer actors. Because the thing is this, customers will say in their reviews, there were almost no actors. There's nobody in the haunt. They're not actually saying there was nobody in the haunt.
No.
What they're actually saying is that they didn't get any interaction from people in the haunt.
Right. Right.
Very different sentence.
Yes, there are big spaces where they didn't feel like they were being scared.
That they were not being human interacted with at all. And that's a big difference of statement, because it's like, it reminds me of the old story of an apartment building was getting too many complaints about their elevators being slow.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in an elevator consultant, because I'm sure those exist, and he said, oh, what you need to do is turn one of these into an express elevator. It's $20,000. And oh, we don't have that kind of money in the building fund right now. We can't do that. And then another guy comes in and says, well, you know, if you can't do it in an express, what you do is you just put more powerful motors in both, make them move faster. That's only $10,000. Oh, that's still crazy. No, I can't do that. And then they brought in another guy who said, actually, just install mirrors on every floor. A few $100s, realistically, not much. And that way people, when they're waiting for the elevator, checking their hair, their makeup, making sure their shirt's buttoned right and whatever, checking themselves out, and they're killing that 10, 15, 30 seconds, whatever, that they're waiting. It's an alternate solution to the problem. Be looking for ways to install mirrors next to elevators, basically.
Yeah.
And I think making and redesigning a haunt so that one actor can have multiple contacts with customers is so crucial. And it always blows my mind when I go through haunts and I see actors that are clearly just one thing.
Yeah.
They have that one thing. I'm like, and you know that if the groups are spaced out well, they're sitting idle probably a good 50 to 60% of the time.
Yeah.
If you're not running a true honest-to-God conga line, they're sitting idle at least half the time. And the result of that is you're wasting money hiring them for the full. But if you give them 2 things or 3 things, God help you, that will really tire an actor out. But if you give them multiple things, you get more contacts at no extra money. And I think the way haunts were designed for COVID may facilitate that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about all I have.
Yeah.
All in all, 2022 is going to be an interesting year. I'm not in a good place with how I feel about the haunt industry personally. I'm not going to lie. We've seen so many haunt owners be so callous. And
I have issues with the haunt customers too.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm saying that's true.
It's not. It's both sides.
Yeah,
for
you
me
know
right
what? That's
now.
a valid point. It's a valid point. But one of the frustrations I have is people will say things like, you know, I'll die before I give in to this, or we change our show or whatever. I'll die, and like, you're not gonna die.
Well, they might.
Well, but
with
no,
COVID.
not realistic. No, that's just it. No,
Okay.
they're not realistically going to. They know their risk is personally low.
Yeah.
They're willing to kill others
True.
to avoid changing. That's a
Right.
very different thing.
Because if you're up in your office running the show, if you're not a hands-on kind of haunter.
Yeah, and if you're someone that's in reasonably good health and taking, you know, your odds were low anyway, even if you did get it.
Yeah.
And the danger isn't necessarily you will die. It's that someone will get infected and pass it to someone. You know, the kids that come to the haunt will pass it to grandma. And now she doesn't get to enjoy Christmas dinner, you know.
Yeah.
That's the danger. You're not willing to die for it. You're willing to kill for it. And I've learned that members of this haunt community are willing to kill to not have to change the way they handle their haunt and stay open. And that's disappointing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm still sorting that out. But for us, personally, with our haunt, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm looking forward to starting marketing probably sometime close to April. I want to get some videos up on the Facebook page. I want to play a bit of a long game here.
Yeah.
So I got some ideas I want to go over with you probably tomorrow. And yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday probably.
Tomorrow we have plans.
I know. Yeah, but those plans involve drinking, and when we drink, we talk about haunt shit.
That is true.
So I just figured I would squeeze it in with the haunt shit we're inevitably going to discuss while we're drinking.
Yeah.
It's made sense to me. Yeah, we do have plans tomorrow. And so on that note, yeah, real fast, tomorrow is a big day for us.
It is.
It is our anniversary.
Yes.
December the 27th.
28th.
The 28th, that's right.
Today's
28th, 27th. Yeah, December 28th is 21 years together.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, that means our relationship is old enough to drink, which is why we're going day drinking.
Exactly.
In the French Quarter, and we have our Vax cards ready and our masks on as we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day tomorrow.
Yeah.
But man, 21 years. I'm still floored by it, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the fucking world. I'll tell you that much right now.
No, me either.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the past hour. Just be grateful it wasn't a 21-year commitment with us.
Well, we're racking up the years. We're closing out. What number now?
317 is what we're on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours. But anyways, thank you very much for joining us. Do check out more Haunt Weekly at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/Haunt Weekly is, of course, our YouTube channel. Every episode is there. Great way to go through the back catalog. Those episodes go up at the exact same time, so if you are a YouTube person, that's your Jimmy Jam. Drop us a subscribe. You can also find us at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast. We got you covered. And hopefully, starting soon, we'll be back to doing live podcasts Sunday. So I always say Friday, but it's Sunday. Sunday, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Stay tuned. Facebook.com/Haunt Weekly is where we'll be making those posts. Until next time. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this has been episode 317, discussing 5 questions for the haunt industry in 2022. We will see you all next week.